Cosplay is a portmanteau or combination of the English words costume and roleplay, a term first coined by Nobuyuki Takahashi at the World Science Fiction Convention in 1984.
Question number 1. Why do I cosplay? That is probably the simplest answer I'm going to give, in that it is so much fun. Cosplaying in general is just such a fun hobby. You meet so many interesting people, you get so many compliments for what you make and what you show up wearing, and it is so much fun to get to act out a character that you like and bring that character to life. It's probably why it's become such a joy for me to do whenever I get the chance to.
Why do I cosplay? I cosplay because I can make a lot of friends from it, and it's just fun to be another person for a day or two when you have the opportunities, and well, yeah, to be another person for a day.
Why do you cosplay? I cosplay because I think it's fun to be able to become a different character and escape into a different world for a day or two.
The first question is, why do you cosplay? I cosplay because it's fun. I've made some great friends in the cosplay community. I get to be a fictional character that I love. It's a way of showing appreciation for that creation. You get to act like a different person when you're in cosplay, so that's pretty fun, and you can respond to a different name, which is a nice mix-up. I guess it serves as an escape from your regular persona.
Why do I cosplay? To me, it's just becoming the characters I love. Even if it's for a day, I get to be characters I've always aspired to be and always wanted to be. I really get into the roleplay part when I can.
Cosplay has evolved so much from where it used to be almost 30 years ago. Now you can find cosplay as almost every fictional character and even some real characters. People cosplay as characters from every form of media, from games and anime to books and even theatre.
Question number 2. When did you first hear about cosplay? I first heard about cosplay not too long before I went to my first anime convention back in 2007. My wife, fiance at the time, mentioned that she had done a bit of cosplaying when she was at her intern program in Florida. And I liked the idea and I decided to give it a try. So I went online, found a costume that I wanted to do, and ended up being Ichigo from Bleach in his Bankai form. The costume itself wasn't that great, but the prop that I was able to acquire was pretty cool, and I still have that.
When I first heard about cosplay, that was back in 2011, and well, I haven't really gotten much more from it because my qualities aren't really that great.
I first heard about cosplay about 4 years ago when finding pictures on the internet of people at what was most likely to be some sort of gaming convention where people were dressing up as characters from Halo and Warhammer, things I was into at the time.
I first heard about cosplay many years back, sort of distantly, but it wasn't until about a year ago that I got into it properly.
The second question is, when did you first hear about cosplay? I can't actually remember. I've been cosplaying for like a very, very long time. I only started actively going to conventions though about 4 years ago.
When did I first hear about cosplay? It's probably about the time I actually started getting into anime properly, 2005.
There are cosplay events happening all around the world every single month. Some small ones like LFCC, the London Film Comic Con, to massive ones such as the San Diego Comic Con.
Question number 3. What got you into cosplay and prop making? It's one of those things, you try it the first time and you become absolutely hooked on it. That's pretty much how it was. As my group of friends back in Omaha decided to make it a yearly tradition to go to this anime convention, as well as any others that we could. And in Nebraska, there were 2, Anime Nebrascon and Otaku Omaha, which was in 2008. And I yet again put on a costume for Otaku Omaha, which was Light Yagami. And unlike my last one, I didn't bother buying a prop. Instead, I made the Death Note, and that was just fun too, just to be able to create my own prop. But the interest in actually doing it for a living and actually doing it seriously came in 2010, when my brother and I spent a whole month working on Genesis Rhapsodos's rapier from Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. We spent a whole month making it the best that we could, making it out of wood for my Genesis cosplay that I decided I was going to do for NUMA-WAFFLE that year.
What got you interested in cosplaying? My friends mainly. I was sitting on Facebook with one of my friends and said how they were going to a convention, so I decided to go to it with them, and I just cosplayed from there on and made new cosplays. So yeah.
My friends that I made at college got me interested in cosplay and prop making, although I've done a lot less on the prop making side.
3. What got you interested in cosplay and prop making? I just like the thought of acting like someone I admired. I mean, what's appealing to me is the fact I get to be someone I'm not.
What got me into cosplay and prop making? Probably just the fun of it, and also the experience of getting stuff online. You make yourself just so much more attached to your props, and you're prouder of it. People compliment you, you feel amazing.
In terms of costumes, some people prefer making it, others prefer buying it. Something is a combination of the two. Some costumes are simple as torn jeans and a purple wig, others are complex and have moving wings, glowing armor, and weapons that match.
Question number 4. What has been the most challenging cosplay you have made? And without a doubt, hands down, that would be my Chaos cosplay from Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus. My friends, my wife, and I, we spent 5 solid months working on that costume. And it came down to the wire as to whether or not we would get it done or not. It was such a fun challenge to make. This was my very first costume we've ever made entirely by ourselves, aside from the suit that I wore underneath it, and it was just so much fun, and we learned so much, and it was so worth it.
My most challenging cosplay must be my my Alois Chansey one, which took about a month to make from scratch. So yeah.
The most challenging cosplay I've done has definitely been my first cosplay, which was a cosplay of Jiraiya from Naruto, because it ended up involving a lot more sewing than I think it needed to.
4 is, what has been the most challenging cosplay you have done? It would be my medieval Arthur Kirkland cosplay from the show Hitalia. The whole thing was handcrafted and hand-painted, and there was a lot of small detail in every armoured piece. Getting the measurements right and shaping it was really, really difficult. It was trial and error in a lot of parts around the legs, but it paid off in the end. I think it was really great to wear despite not being able to sit down or climb the stairs.
My most challenging cosplay is definitely my Squall Leonhardt one. Spent months working on the gunblade and hours working on the jacket. Every person who does the same character can have a different version of said character. Every single costume ends up being unique to that person.
Question number 5. What is your favorite cosplay-related memory? My favorite memory, I have a couple, and they continue to develop because this is an ongoing thing. I take great pride and joy in seeing the final pieces of a project, a build, come together, and they just look so cool. That just creates a whole new memory that I cherish every single time. But also the reaction that my Chaos cosplay got at Anime Banzai 2012 was just phenomenal. It was a big costume, so it's hard for people to miss, but I seriously could barely take 2 steps in the thing without somebody asking me for a picture, which of course I obliged. It was just so much fun, even though we didn't really get to enjoy the convention on the whole with all the panels and all that too much because I couldn't move around as quickly as I normally could.
My most favorite cosplay related memory, I can't decide. I have so many wonderful memories with a lot of my friends who also cosplay and took trips to me to Copenhagen and so on. My favorite one of all of them though must have been a cosplay walk back in last year, I think, where we found this can and we started just randomly playing soccer with it, which was really, really fun. I don't know why, but it was it just was really fun.
But my favourite cosplaying related memory was when I took my Jiraiya cosplay to a very little convention in London, and because there were so few people there, so few people were doing cosplays, and I ended up getting a load of compliments on it, and it was just a really nice and confident building experience.
What is your favourite cosplay related memory? Well, this one time, I think it was like 2 years back, I was cosplaying a pirate, and while I was at a convention I bumped into a character from the same show, and both of us had swords on our hip. So we got past the awkward hellos and got them out and started sword fighting in the middle of the convention, all the while acting in character and addressing each other by our character names, till I slipped up and dropped my sword and was forced to surrender. I then stayed with them for like the entire convention, and the people who'd been watching the fight, of course, they were cheering and having fun with it. It was a really nice atmosphere, and that while we tried to stay in character, that we could stop smiling, so it didn't really work. It's not really nice to meet people who have the same enthusiasm for something that you do.
My favourite cosplay memory? It's not so much a single memory, but a whole bunch combined. It's basically my gunblade. Every time anyone ever complimented me on it, or I was invited to photo shoots because of how much they liked it, it just made me so happy. I put all of work into it, and it's probably one of those prized possessions. What I have learned from making this documentary is that cosplay is not just a hobby, it is an amazing art form. To some people it is a job, others a way of life. Some people have found their true calling thanks to cosplay. No matter who you ask, everyone will say the same thing when you ask them why they cosplay. In one simple word, fun. No experience comes close to the amount of fun cosplay brings.
Alright, question 6. If money and time did not matter, what would you cosplay as? And that's a real tough question, because I already have some ideas in the future for some very complicated and elaborate cosplays. I would probably do like a full-blown, no-holds-barred, just the best Master Chief, or the best from Halo, or the best Judge Magister Gibranth from Final Fantasy XII that I possibly could.
If money and time didn't matter, what would we cosplay as? I would probably... I can't really decide, because I have so many cosplay plans for the future, which I probably will end up doing sometime in the future, yeah. But I would probably go as Kurenal from Chrono Crusade.
If money and time didn't matter, I would probably do a cosplay from Attack on Titan, or one of the more elaborate Final Fantasy cosplays.
Question 6. If money and time did not matter, what would you cosplay as? Oh man. Well, the thing I'd love to cosplay is more of an anatomy issue rather than money and time. And that would be a Naga, which is a half human, half snake. Moving around in a convention with a snake body would be extremely difficult, and I'm not sure how to achieve it. I guess you could sit on a skateboard, but even then because the convention hall's really big, but there's so many people, you have like a tiny little small spaced route that you can take. I don't think a massive Naga body would fit through there. So it's a slight problem.
If time and money didn't matter, I would really love to do a Thor cosplay one day. Just mixing elements of the comic ones and the modern movie ones together. As cosplay gets more exposure and more people go, the events get bigger and bigger. Everyone tries to improve their cosplays of last year or do completely new ones. The same event will always be different every year. It is ever growing and here to stay.